What is the I? That's a very good question. It's the fundamental question which many people have spent their whole lives exploring. It's a spiritual question that many teachers have used and share with others as a form of practice. It's funny, I mean, the I is something we all think we know what we mean by I. We talk about I think this, I feel that, I did this. And yet as soon as you look at it, you start trying to find out what is this thing called I, you can't find anything. It's like, again, there's nothing there. I mean, I can say I'm Peter Russell, that's just the name I have. I could say, I'm a male. I happen to be experiencing the world through a male body. I could imagine myself being female and almost, could possibly have my brain transplanted these days and do that. The sense of I-ness would still be there. So the question is what is this sense of I-ness that we all experience? And I think we turn it into a thing we've constructed in our experience, this sense of I-ness that's an individual me. And in a way, we're constructing the whole of our experience. I mean, right now, I'm receiving information from the world, visual information, auditory information, and my brain is analysing it, putting it all together. And what appears in my mind is this image, very good 3D surround sound perception of the world, quote, out there. And then what I do is I place my sense of self right at the centre of that. And the centre of my perceptual world is behind the eyes, between the ears. That's right, the centre of my world. And I then make the error of thinking that it's something to do with my head or my brain, that the self is in the brain. It isn't. The self is just at the centre of the world. And they've done interesting experiments with putting people in a virtual reality setup and then sticking cameras and microphones in a different room. So you actually get your sensory data from another room, and within a couple of minutes, you start experiencing yourself in the other room. You've changed the locus of where you identify with. So that's what I think we do, is we create this image of ourselves at the center of our experience. And yet that's just a construct. And that's why when you start looking for the self, there's no thing there. What there is just this sense of awareness, being. I call it amness, or even better, I like to call it amming. It's being in a very first person way. There's just amming. And that's that sense of presence, being. When we touch into that, there's usually a sense of this has always been there, but not noticed, and a sense of ease and contentment in it. But it's not a thing. It's almost like the very fundamental nature of consciousness, which is awareness, experiencing, happening. And in a way that is all happening within me. You could also say, is my whole experience, is me, everything I'm experiencing. A newborn child doesn't have this sense of I-ness. There is experience. But it's almost we begin to teach it because we have this sense of I. I think that begins to get fed into it. We give the child a name. And so it starts learning, oh, I'm John or Jane or whatever it is. It's like, this is what I am. And it starts getting this sense of beingness. And as it starts interacting with the world, it finds it's an agent. I can push this, I can do this, I can interact with things. And I think embedded within a society in which this sense of individual self is so prevalent and unquestioned, I think it's natural that the child would start growing up with that, and then it learns that not only does it have a name, but it has qualities, it's good or bad, it likes this, it doesn't like that, it's smart, it's funny, it's dumb, whatever it is, and it starts taking on all these qualities. But because there's nothing ultimately really there, all the time we're concerned about these qualities. How can I reinforce that? How do people see me? And so I think this is a process that happens during childhood. We begin to build up this sense of identity. But I think the truth is, I often think it's like the opposite from the emperor having no clothes. It's like there's a lot of clothes, but there's no emperor underneath. We have all these things we identify with, but ultimately there's no thing there, although we think there is.